I know it's difficult, but you're not alone.
Thank you, doctor. I'm just so scared.
We'll face this together.
A month ago, my husband collapsed without warning. One moment, he was standing in the kitchen, talking about nothing important, what we needed from the shop, whether it might rain later, and the next moment he was on the floor. His body went stiff, his eyes rolled back. I screamed his name, but he didn't answer. The ambulance arrived quickly, but in that moment, time felt frozen. I remember gripping his hand in the back of the ambulance, begging him to stay with me. At the hospital, they rushed him for scans. I was told to wait. That waiting room changed my life. After what felt like hours, a doctor came in. He sat down. That alone told me everything. Doctors only sit when the news is bad. He said softly, "Your husband has a brain tumor." The word tumor echoed in my head, but before I could even understand it, he added another word, glioblastoma. I didn't know what that meant yet. I just knew from his face that it was terrible. I nodded like I understood, but I didn't. I just felt cold. People always say, "Be strong," but no one tells you how. I remember saying out loud, "I don't want to cry." Not because I wasn't broken inside, but because I was afraid that if I started, I would never stop. The doctor told me gently, "It's completely acceptable to cry." And he was right, because when someone you love is suddenly facing a deadly disease, tears are not weakness. They are human. Once the shock faded, reality hit. The doctors explained the treatment plan. They called it standard of care. Surgery to remove as much of the tumor as possible, then radiation, then chemotherapy. I asked a question that many families ask. Isn't there something else we can try? I had heard about experimental treatments, new drugs, breakthrough therapies. I had read stories online about miracle cures, and then I remembered something called right to try. Isn't there a law that allows dying patients to try experimental medicine? If my husband's life is on the line, shouldn't we have every possible option? Yes, the right to try law does exist in the United States. It was created so that terminally ill patients could access experimental drugs that have passed basic safety testing, even if those drugs are not fully approved yet. It sounds powerful, it sounds hopeful, but the reality is more complicated. The law does not mean that any drug can be used freely. It does not mean hospitals must give it. It does not mean insurance will pay. And it does not mean the drug will work. In most cases, the biggest obstacle is not the government. It is the drug companies and hospitals, who fear legal risks if something goes wrong. So while the law exists on paper, in real life, very few patients are able to use it. Many families feel that doctors are holding them back. It can feel like they are saying, "This is your only option." But from a medical point of view, their thinking is different. Glioblastoma is one of the most aggressive cancers known to medicine. Doctors have spent decades testing treatments. Out of hundreds of experimental drugs, more than 95% fail. That means for every 100 new cancer drugs tested, only about 5 ever prove helpful. Some experimental treatments do nothing. Some actually make patients worse. Doctors are not afraid of hope. They are afraid of false hope. They know that delaying proven treatment can allow the tumor to grow faster. In glioblastoma, time is precious. Weeks can make a difference. When someone is desperate, the internet becomes dangerous. You see stories that say, "This cure was hidden from you." Doctors don't want you to know this. This natural treatment beats cancer. Most of these stories are not science. They are business. They sell supplements, fake clinics, or unproven therapies. Families lose money, time, and sometimes their last chance at real treatment. Doctors see this every day. That is why they are cautious. The deeper issue is not medicine, It is trust. People no longer know who to believe. They see public figures say one thing today and the opposite tomorrow. When leaders contradict medical science repeatedly, it confuses people. If someone lies about vaccines, then supports them later. If someone attacks medications, then celebrates them later. How does the public know when they are telling the truth? This constant contradiction damages trust in real doctors and real science. And when trust is broken, patients suffer. This is the truth doctors wish more families understood. It is not standard treatment or experimental treatment. The best approach is standard treatment and clinical trials. Start the proven therapy immediately. At the same time, search for legitimate clinical trials. This gives patients the best chance, proven care to slow the disease. Research trials to access new options safely. The world's best cancer hospitals follow this model instead of saying, "We refuse standard treatment." Families should say, "We want standard treatment and access to trials." This keeps doctors on your side. It turns them into partners, not opponents. Glioblastoma is brutal. Even with the best care, it is often not curable. Doctors are not hiding miracles. They are fighting with limited weapons. That is painful to accept, but honesty is better than illusion. False hope feels good today, but it can steal tomorrow. Real hope is not magic cures. Real hope is the best surgeons, the best oncologists, the best research trials, the best supportive care. Real hope is science moving forward, slowly but honestly.